much for joining. I know that we've still got people arriving and they're coming in, but I'm conscious of the fact that we're on quite a tight time schedule today. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Claire Dinan. I'm the Programme Director for the Management MSc. I'd also like to introduce Jane Shen, who is the Programme Director for FAFM. So Jane, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this fantastic session for our alumni. My name is Jane Shen, and I'm a senior lecturer in finance. And I'm also the program director for the MSc Financial Analysis and Fund Management, and also the MSc Finance and Investment program. Great to meet everyone.
Thank you, Jane. Okay, and I'd also like to introduce Jackie Bagnall, who's the Programme Director for our MBA. Jackie, would you like to say hello to everybody?
Hello, everyone. Great. Thank you for this, Jennifer. It's really exciting. And hello to the alumni. I can see your names in the participant list. Great to see you.
Brilliant. Okay, which then leads me on to the star attraction. Not that the other two aren't our star attractions, but, you know, basically the reason why we're here today is because Jennifer Corcoran is our LinkedIn super connector guru. Okay, at the end of the day, if there's anything about LinkedIn that Jennifer doesn't know, it's not worth knowing, because she knows everything about it. And the key thing is we've had Jennifer do a lot of really useful work for us with our current students on our master's programs within the business school. And they've really helped them raise their profiles in LinkedIn, which has then enabled them to connect better. And some of them have got jobs directly off the back of the advice that Jennifer's been giving them. So the reason why we've got Jennifer for you today as alumni is also to help you revisit your LinkedIn pages so that you can polish them up, hopefully raise your profiles and be connecting in a better way going forwards. So what I'd like to do now is hand you over to Jennifer. And Jennifer, thank you very much.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for having me, and thanks for that lovely intro, Claire. I'm going to attempt to bring up my PowerPoint on the screen, so hopefully you can all see it now. Give me a thumbs up if you can. Great, okay, brilliant. So I'm just going to start off by saying that some trainers do a few slides and some do a lot. I do a lot. Okay, so I'm going to try and go through this as fast as possible and try and make it as interactive as possible. So don't be shy to chat in the chat box. There'll be a few questions I'll be asking you as we go along. And when we get to the end, we can do more Q&A as well. Okay. So welcome. And first things first, if we're not already connected on LinkedIn, that's my URL at the top of the screen. So I'd love to connect with you all, reach out, send me ideally a personalized connection request and say that you attended this session today. If you don't send me a personalized connection request, don't worry. If you've got something to do with the University of Exeter, I'll guess it. Okay. And I also have a company page on LinkedIn for my company called My Super Connector. You might want to give that a follow because I share lots of tips and updates about LinkedIn on there. And of course, follow the company page for the University of Exeter. You can see now 130,000 plus alumni, which is loads. So there are lots of people. If you actually go onto the page and click on alumni, you can click through and see who has gone to the university before. And that's a great opportunity for you to start connecting straight away. Okay. So sorry about this. Just letting somebody in. So I was just chatting before we came on saying that the numbers of LinkedIn members are rising like at a really steady pace, especially over the last 2 years with the pandemic. So currently we're over 810 million. And I think I started doing sessions with you guys about a year or so ago. And the first one was about 700. So it's really growing. And I'm sure we're going to be at 1 billion members soon. And you can see the members are in 200 countries and regions worldwide. In the UK, we've just got over 32 million members, you know, practically half the country is on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, you know, it really is the biggest social kind of professional network in the world. I don't really think of LinkedIn as social media. I think of it as a social network, and there are amazing people all around the world for you to connect with at the touch of your fingertips. So this is where I want you to get a little bit interactive. I'd love to know in the chat box, when it comes to LinkedIn, what is your situation? So are you absent? Do you have an account? Or maybe you don't, or maybe you've got one and you just never log on. Are you a lurker? So are you on there a little while or a long while and you're kind of looking on in the sidelines and you're not really engaging? Are you a networker? So you're already kind of getting out there, you're connecting with people. or are you an influencer? And the thing is with LinkedIn, you don't have to be like a TikTok influencer or an Instagram influencer. You don't need 1 million or 100 million followers to get LinkedIn working for you. You can be a micro influencer with as little as 1,000 followers, so if you are absent, don't worry, you're going to get educated. I'm going to tell you why you want to be on LinkedIn. If you are lurking, I'm going to try and get you up to the networker status. And if you want to become an influencer, you just generally need to find a purpose. And when you're working towards your purpose and your goal and your mission and your why, it's a lot easier to put yourself out there on LinkedIn, because it's not about you as the individual, it's about something bigger. Okay, so I will look through the chat box in a while and see where you all are. So no judgment here today as well. Okay, so don't worry if you're not on it, if you're not active. So I just want to say, this is what most of us think of LinkedIn. We think of an online CV board, job board, spammy salespeople in our inbox, recruiters, human resources, career services, and corporate. And it definitely has, human resources, career services, corporate, recruiters, and spammy salespeople on it. But it's a lot more than an online board. It's the #1 personal branding platform in the world nowadays. So it's really powerful for you in terms of how you put yourself out there in the world. And there is a mix of corporate execs and business owners. So, when it first started, I think it was very much for just, job seekers and execs, but now there's a complete mix of people on the platform, making it a lot more exciting, I think. And 5 years ago, when the organic reach on Facebook dwindled, a lot of the Facebook marketers came over to LinkedIn and they diluted the platform, but I think they diluted it in a good way, because they made it a lot more human, basically. Okay, so what is LinkedIn? Well, LinkedIn, it is a rich database of connections, human beings, company pages, and groups, and it's searchable by both Google and LinkedIn's algorithm. Okay, so LinkedIn shows up really highly on Google. If a recruiter or a HR manager or a fellow business owner is looking you up on Google, your LinkedIn platform should come up, your LinkedIn profile should come up on the first screen. Google ranks LinkedIn higher than any of the other social platforms. Okay, so it's a networking tool, right? It's a great tool where you can see mutual connections with third parties. So it's a lot bigger than your immediate network. You can lean in to your second degree network. For example, if you connect with me and then you see that I'm connected to somebody at a company you want to chat with, don't be shy, reach out and say, hi, Jen, I want to chat to Mark at Microsoft, can you please introduce me? So it's a lot bigger than just your immediate first degree connections. It's about leaning into your second. And if I'm honest, I've never had to go as far as my third degree connections, because you're usually only one person away from a great opportunity. Okay, so it's also an amazing platform to grow your personal brand and to establish yourself as an expert. And it's a great platform for showcasing social proof, like your endorsements, your skills, and your recommendations, because social proof is everywhere. And if you're reaching out, if you're going for a job, for example, and so is somebody else, and if you have no recommendations and they have 10, they're probably going to lean with the other person, because it's all about that know, like, and trust. So, and lastly, it's a great way for potential clients to find you in different ways. The first way, LinkedIn search. I love the LinkedIn search bar. Most of my clients never look at it, so I would say go away and explore a search. Everything you want is in there. When you filter down, you can find amazing people, you can find amazing content and posts, you can find amazing events and groups and companies and so much more. So start to use the search bar. And of course, explore groups. You've got alumni groups here at the uni, so join the group and don't be shy to bring up the members and see who's in the group and reach out, because you've got something in common. You just have to send a simple introductory message saying, hi, Mary, we're both alumni from the University of Exeter. I'd love to connect. And you never know how you can help each other down the line. Okay. And of course, you're going to find people via content on the home feed from your immediate first degree network, your connections, your second and your third degree connections. So bear with me a sec. Doesn't want to go to the next slide for some reason. Okay. And I'm just going to quickly go into the chat box as well. So okay, just to see what you're at. Okay, lurker. Okay. Okay, cool. Somewhere in between a lurker and a networker. Okay, you're all going to be networks by the end. Okay, you know, you're in a safe space today, and like I said, if you're wondering who should you start connecting with, start connecting with each other. That is an easy win. Build your network. You've all gone to uni to get a qualification. You've got lots in common, and I think you can all help each other down the line. So definitely go into the University of Exeter alumni group. Okay. So LinkedIn works for all businesses, all industries, and all career stages, okay? So it doesn't matter whether you go on to be in B2C or B2B, whether even you're a hairdresser or a startup or anything, you know, LinkedIn works for you. And it's all about finding a way that it's going to work for your individual personality, your energy, and your goals, because everybody is different. And if you're on here today and you're an introvert and you're like, I hate showing up, LinkedIn is the platform for introverts. There is no excuse. Okay. So the benefits of LinkedIn as a student: you can network with peers, alumni, and organizations. You can find a new employer for either paid or voluntary work. As Claire said, people have gone on to find jobs. I've helped people to get even voluntary jobs. There's so many opportunities on LinkedIn. As I said, it's an amazing database. Use the search bar and get in there and do your research and gather market intelligence. You can generate opportunities and build relationships. You can find new partners and businesses to collaborate with. And ultimately, you can establish yourself as an expert and a thought leader in your field by posting on a topic that's really close to your heart, okay, your preferred subject. And the secret to raising your profile and tooting your horn on LinkedIn is giving, okay? So it's like any kind of networking. It's an online network. And the more you give back to your community, the more the law of reciprocity will kick in and it will come back to you. So it's not about constantly me, what can I get? It's about reaching out, connecting with people on a human level and saying, you know, how can I help you? Whether it's in a DM or writing content about a topic that's going to help people. And this quote from Dale Carnegie sums it up. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. So I think when you approach LinkedIn with that giving mindset, so in terms of content, it's all about giving value to your network. For example, if you were going to show up on LinkedIn on content 5 days a week, 4 of those 5 days, you want to be inspiring, informing, educating, motivating, just value. And then the 5th day would be a little bit about you, a soft push about what you need. So that's the kind of ratio when you're approaching the networking on LinkedIn. And you know yourself, if you meet someone in real life at a face-to-face event and they're all me, this is me, it's such a turn off. So you can create solid connections by asking, how can I help you? And I just want to know what your SSI score. This is a metrics built into the back of LinkedIn, and I promise this screen will make sense in a minute. Basically, you get a score on LinkedIn out of 100 and it changes every day. It's broken into 4 quadrants. And if you want to find it, if you see that URL at the bottom of the screen, if you open another tab now and just put in linkedin.com/sales/SSI, you will get your SSI score today. And it's basically 4 quadrants. And the first score of 25 is about establishing your professional brand. And this mainly relates to how optimized is your profile? How much have you filled it out? How much have you got the keywords in there? But basically filling out your profile as much as possible. The second is finding the right people, using search, reaching out to people, sending connection requests like I hope you're going to send to me, and also accepting connection requests. So the more you get into the habit of doing that, the more that score increases. The next is engaging with insights. That's all about commenting and engaging with things that you see on your home feed. Leaving a comment is such an easy way to show up on LinkedIn. If you're shy about creating your original content, don't worry, commenting is amazing because you're leaving a virtual business card, you're leaving your headshot and your headline, and you're giving value and you're showing up, and it just gives you increased reach. And just to tell you, of the 810 million members I mentioned about LinkedIn, some good news for the lurkers and the absent people is 90% of people on LinkedIn are lurking, okay? They're looking on from the sidelines, 90%. only about 1 to 2% of all the members on LinkedIn are creating original content. Can you imagine? Only 1 to 2%. Think of all the other platforms. Think of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So there is amazing organic reach on LinkedIn if you're brave enough to put yourself out there. And if original content is not for you, if you want to approach it as a giving in response to something, if you comment, you are in the top 10% of engagers on LinkedIn. So commenting is always a great thing to do as well. And people will reach out to you on the back of some comments. I've had people quote my comments back to me word for word, because we're all human, we're all nosy, and we read the comments. So there's no excuse to not show up and be visible. You know, if you are like putting your kind of toe in the water, start with commenting. And then the last one is building relationships. And that's basically a summary of everything you're doing, whether it's networking on the home feed or sending DMs or, you know, acting in, you know, messaging and connecting in groups. So basically, it's a score that you don't need to get hung up on. But if you have looked at it, I'd love to know in the chat box, what is your score? And there is absolutely no judgment here. Do not worry if your score is low. I'm going to help you to increase it. And why do you need to increase it? Well, if the higher your score on LinkedIn, the more your content is out there with the algorithm. So if you have a low score and if your profile is not optimized, you're going to come up in 40% less searches. So I'm going to give you a little checklist. I don't know whether Ruth's already mailed or she's going to send it after, but it's going to be an accompaniment to this that's going to really help you to flesh out your profile and get that score as high as possible so you can get that reach. So, okay, cool. Thanks for sharing. They're not bad. You know, I've had people on with 10, you know, and it's just about building your profile. So this is just a screenshot of what you're going to see when you go in. It's out of 100. I know you're all high achievers. You're all in the uni. You're never going to get 100. So don't worry, get over it. LinkedIn tried to push you to buy LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is like their top platform, and then of course your score will rise, but you don't need LinkedIn Sales Navigator, so don't worry about that. You can get amazing reach on LinkedIn on the free platform. You know there's no need to get Sales Navigator, so ignore that. And you can see on mine, you get a breakdown of where you are according to your industry. So I'm in the top 1% of social media trainers, LinkedIn trainers, and then I'm in the top 1% of my network at large. And at the moment I have about 11,000 connections, and I'm hoping you're all going to be added in there as well. Okay, so don't get hung up. It's just a metrics in the back end to guide you. If your score is below 60, it mainly means you have to optimize your profile. And if you really want to get LinkedIn working for you, the magic starts to happen around 75. So that's something to aim for. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to build a community which will help you to get that visibility on LinkedIn. And I promise it's super easy. Okay. The first is building that solid foundation with your LinkedIn profile, or if you're a business owner, also having a company page. The second is being aware of your personal brand, who you are as an individual, what you stand for, and alternatively your business brand. So I know you're all alumni, but I don't know what you're doing now. So some of you might be business owners, so I've stuck that in as well. And then it's all about participating. So the first part is presence, building your profile. And the second is, how am I going to participate? Is it going to be on the home feed? Is it in Messenger, or is it in groups? And then, of course, get social. It's a social network. That's how you're going to stand out. And then be consistent. And all of this helps to build the know, like, and trust factor, okay? It's not rocket science. I think once you're clear on who you are, what you stand for, what your goals are, why you're on LinkedIn, is that clear in your profile? And who do you want to connect with? What is your strategy? Why are you on LinkedIn? Is it to connect with like minds, to connect with peers, build a community, find a new job, find a client, raise your personal brand, raise your business brand? I think once you're clear on your goals, and that's clear from your profile, it makes it so much easier to participate. And I think a lot of people are shy and lurk because they're not quite sure what they're trying to achieve. So the key considerations really are the power of the first impression, and I'm going to teach you about this today. Tailoring your profile. Oops, sorry about that. I kind of went a bit askew. Tailoring your profile to your objectives, and of course profile completion. I can't bang on enough about that, because if you don't complete your profile, you will show up in 40% less search, and you don't want that. Okay, so This is just a quick screenshot of the checklist that Ruth's going to send you after. LinkedIn has recently changed in the last week, okay? So you used to have a dashboard on your profile and it told you whether you were at beginner status, intermediate, or all-star. It's changed now and you'll see a resources area on your profile and some analytics. But I just wanted to qualify what all-star is, because this is the bare minimum that you need to complete in order to show up in 40% more search, okay? So you have to have a profile picture. You cannot have that generic egghead, okay? You have to have a shot. You have to put in some experience, which is generally your current role and 2 previous. If you've not had 2 previous, you could even spotlight a volunteering role or any, or membership or something like that in your experience, just to build it up. The next is skills. You're allowed to showcase 50 skills on your profile, and these are keywords that help you to show up in search. They're all your hard skills and your soft skills. To qualify for the all-star, to show up in search, you only need to put in 5, but I would encourage you to put in the 50. You need to have a summary, which is the about section. So even putting in 1 sentence will help you show up in more search. So definitely create this section, because that's the section of your story and what you're trying to achieve. And then your industry and location is an easy one to put in. Education, an easy one. And then connections, you have to have at least 50 connections to qualify for this all-star, okay? So start connecting with each other, okay? I know there's nearly 60 of you signed up. You may not all be here today, but do go to the university alumni group, and check out fellow members, because you never know how you can help each other. Look at what people are doing now. They could be in a company that you want to be in, or they could be running a business that you want to collaborate with. I'm going to chat a little bit about your personal brand now, and you might think, why is my personal brand necessary? I'm not a big corporation like Nike or Amazon. What's it all about? Well, your personal brand is your business, and we all have one, whether we're aware of it or not. And to quote Jeff Bezos, it's what other people say about you when you're not in the room. It's not what you say about yourself, okay? So I'm just going to break down the difference between your personal and your business brand. Your business brand, it's your logo, your website, your brand colors, and your business values. As an individual, your personal brand, it's the perception that you're putting out there to the world, really, telling people who you are, what you do, and what you want to be known for, okay? It's all about your goals. And your personal brand is made up of many things. It's your reputation and your credibility. It's your personality. It's your online presence. And if you're an introvert, you can have an online presence on LinkedIn. I'm an introvert. I absolutely love it. Your energy can feed through in your comments and your copy and your messages. It feeds through everything. People can feed your energy through your words. And it's about your USP and your UVP. So, what is unique about you, and what is the differentiation about you? What makes you different and what makes you stand out? Because you've got 810 million members. And of course, there's a lot of you doing the same course, but you're all different. It's about you figuring out what are your strengths and what is that kind of secret sauce, X factor that you have as an individual, okay? And there are various ways to strengthen your personal brand. And the first is impact with your values, your vision, your mission, your USP, and your passions, okay? Online, you can do it on LinkedIn. That's what we're chatting about today. You can do it through a blog, and on LinkedIn, you can post articles, and there's also a new newsletter feature on LinkedIn, which I love. If you've got a website or a podcast or any kind of content, that's ways to strengthen your brand. Offline, networking, PR, awards, pro bono work, knowledge, your expertise. And then kind of on the external outside is your appearance, presentation skills, storytelling, and branding. And a lot of this relates to LinkedIn, especially on the outside. People will judge you on how you've branded yourself and your personality. And I'll be going into this in the first impressions. And it's all about storytelling as well. When you're sharing content, it's all about sharing stories on LinkedIn, because facts tell, but stories sell. And once you've kind of got clear, you've built your profile, you're clear on who you are as an individual, it's about getting ready to network, because it's not about just sitting passively and waiting for people to come to you and agonizing, should I accept this connection request or not? And if you ever feel like that and somebody looks a bit spammy, just click ignore and don't feel bad, because this is your network and you are the one in control. So you are the one shaping it, and your network is your net worth. So, accept people that You want to connect to it and be active. Use the search bar and reach out and connect to other people that excite you to connect with them. And then it's about getting ready to mingle. And there's 3 ways to do this. So the main way that people talk about, I'm not all about the home feed, but this is what most people think LinkedIn is. So the home feed, so posts, videos, articles, comments, stories, polls, and documents. For the introverts out there, you may never want to show up on the home feed, and that is fine. It's about LinkedIn Messenger, and you can send one-to-one messages. You can do introductions in there. You can have group messages. And I'd love to know in the chat box who is sending audio messages or video messages on LinkedIn. So you can do written, audio, and video. Write in what you're doing, whether it's just written or whether it's written and audio or written audio and video. Okay, I'd love to know what you're doing, because so many people don't know you can send audio messages or video messages on LinkedIn. You can actually share GIFs as well. And I think a lot of people don't know the functionality. So do share with me. And I just want to say, I am happy to do audio and video tests with you all if you connect with me after this. Okay, happy you can practice away with me and I'll tell you how to do them. So I'm just going to quickly look and see what you're saying. Written, which is what I expect. Okay, and I'm telling you, I love audios. They are so great. You can send like a 10-second audio, people hear your voice, and it just helps them to connect with you far quicker than written messages. Written messages can feel a bit spammy, even if they're not. So obviously, when you're reaching out to connect, you send a written one. That's the only way you can do it. But don't be shy to move things onto an audio. The odd time I send a video, I got one yesterday from somebody and it really stood out. It was the only video message I'd got in ages. It's a great, if you like video and if you're confident, they are amazing. Okay, so you can only use the audio and the video on the app. Okay, so on the session on your phone, not the desktop. That's how you do it. And the audio is very similar to WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. You put your thumb down on a little mic icon, you hold it there, you've got 60 seconds, and then at the end you release and you've got the option to send or delete. The video, there's a section in there where you click on the camera and then you turn it around to face you and you can record for up to 2 minutes. Video is a little bit more clunky at the end. It's not easy to delete. So I would say if you're going to do a video, just go all in, warts and all. If you make a mistake, don't worry and just be prepared to send it. Audio, you've got more control. You can delete. I do a mix of written and audio. Odd video, I'll do videos for you to show you. But yeah, honestly, and I hope that's got you excited, because it's a really much better way to connect with people as a human being and get the conversation offline. Because as much as I love LinkedIn, I don't love LinkedIn for the functionality and the tech and the features. I love it for the fact that it creates opportunities and it's a communication tool. So if you are connecting with people that you think can help you, move them onto email, move them onto Zoom, move them onto real life, networking, move them to the phone. It is just a communication tool. You're not supposed to spend all day on LinkedIn, okay? So the last method of participation is groups, and you've got your own alumni group and you can post in the home feed of a group. You can ask questions, you can comment on existing posts and build your network. The magic for me in groups is looking at the members in the groups and reaching out to them. I've probably built a third of my network through groups. So I'm just going to quickly tell you about how I started to use LinkedIn in corporate and as a business owner, because I think it will just help you to see what you can do. So I'm originally from Dublin. I'm living in Devon, down the road from you. I'm in Shalden, and I moved to London about 20 years ago. Back in Dublin, I was an English and French graduate, and I worked on a magazine for a company called Enterprise Ireland. And when I moved over to London, I couldn't break into publishing. So I rebranded myself as a high-level personal assistant and started to do a lot of face-to-face networking in London, just so I could meet with peers and get to know the lay of the land and the geography. And around this time, LinkedIn started, okay? So initially, I was terrified of it. I don't really like putting myself out there. Obviously, I've changed over time, but I was like, oh, do I need to be on this? And then I went to a talk that a recruiter was holding, and I was like, yeah, I need to be on this for my job so I can do my job better. So I started to use it. I built my strong profile. I had the branding of my company behind me, and I just felt, yeah, I was an employee. I just had that confidence to reach out. So I started to connect with my peers, initially in London, then around the UK, then around the globe, because, you know, we could all help each other. If I was ever stuck and I needed to book something for an event in, you know, Berlin, and there was conferences on and everywhere was booked, I could reach out to a PA in Berlin and she would help me, and vice versa. So I built like this amazing support network. And then I also connected with our clients, which helped me to have a better relationship with them. Also our suppliers, our partners, trainers, just anyone that could help me do my job better. And for the first few years, I just used my profile and Messenger, and that was really powerful for me. So I was never on the home feed, I was never in groups, and I won the title of the most networked PA in London in the top left. Okay, so if you're thinking, I can't go on the home feed, that's fine. You know, it's just about finding a way that works for you. Over time, I started to show up more in groups and the home feed. And the reason was I was really fed up of the perception of PAs being tea and typing, because I was like, I'm a graduate, and I knew so many people with, you know, degrees, masters, who could speak 5 languages, who were PAs at the C-suite, basically helping to run companies. So I started to write posts about, you know, championing the PA profession. So I had like a purpose and a cause, and all my content was about that, you know, raising awareness, how to network as a PA, how to build a PA network in your company, all of that good stuff. So that enabled me to go out there and get over myself, because if you're shy about putting yourself out there, I think if you've got some kind of purpose and you know what your mission and your why is, you will you'll do it. It won't feel as icky, and you'll get in the swing. And it's like anything, once you start, you know, you just get into it, it becomes a lot easier. So I went on and I won national awards and global awards. And I'm not saying this to be like, hey, I'm amazing. I am an introvert. I'm quite a shy person. And if I can do this, absolutely everyone can, because most people on LinkedIn are not social. Okay. If you are social, you will stand out. If you are consistent, you will stand out. And if you are community focused, you will stand out. Okay. So I'm not in corporate anymore. I've gone on and I've set up my business, my Super Connector, and I use it in the same way really as I did before. I'm social, I'm consistent, I'm community focused. I talk about how I can help people, and I do a mix of home feed, Messenger and groups, but it's all about you figuring out what works for you. And I've gone on to win awards again, and the one I'm the most proud of is the #1 trusted marketing advisor in the UK. And I'm not doing anything that's like way out there. It's the main thing is I am social. So use it as a social network and be social, and you will reap the rewards. Okay. And I just want to briefly touch on this community for a second, because obviously I'm not the only LinkedIn trainer in the world. There are lots of us out there. And if you want some inspiration, if you put in the hashtag LinkedIn Rockstars into the search bar, you'll find a list of trainers. And to get onto the list, you have to be, I know it's very cheesy, but you have to be deemed a rock star, and then you have to be nominated on. But I wanted to break down what the rock star stands for, because this is what you need to get LinkedIn working for you. Okay. So the R is a real desire to help. You have to be giving back to your community on LinkedIn. The O is displaying your outstanding knowledge. Don't be shy. Toot your horn. It's not bragging if it's based on facts, okay? You've all got your degrees, you know, you're all qualified. So don't be shy to sell yourself. The C is have a caring attitude. The K, kind and giving. So it's that theme of give, give, give. The S, be a super connector, okay? And build your network. T is all about building that trust with your network. A, actively engage, be social, like I said, and R is be a relationship builder. So it's not rocket science, just be a human being and connect and give, okay? And I got to the top of the list twice during lockdown, so I'm super proud of that. I'm not #1 now, but I am in this presentation, okay? So 3 ways to make an impact I want you to take away today, whether you are on the desktop or the app, is the top of your profile. It's your cover banner, your headshot, and your headline. So your cover banner is the area behind your head. It's like your West End billboard, your Broadway billboard. It's what people will see first, and it's the first impression of you. So think about what do you want to achieve on there? What's your main goals? What's your main title now? If you're working for a company, they may have branded versions available. So do check with like the social and comms team. as a business owner, mine is in my company branding and my colors. I've got my logo up there for my super connector, and my main keywords, the things that I want people to know about me, is I do LinkedIn training. So you don't have to have a super complicated one, okay? And you can create one yourself on a platform like Canva. So that's canva.com. You can sign up there for free, and there are LinkedIn banner templates. The main thing is be clear, okay? And I don't know if you know the acronym KISS, I'm sure you do. Keep it simple, stupid. None of us are stupid, so we just keep it super simple. You don't have to put so much in there. And when I was an employee, I had a super simple one. Mine was just the color green when I was starting out, because the generic was blue. Now it's gray. And just by having that block of green behind me, I stood out over everyone else in my profession. So you don't need to have all the bells and whistles. It could just be basically the type of student you are, the type of graduate you are, you know, that will help you to stand out, and a strong color that you like, okay? But definitely have one, because it's like the photo on the homepage of a website. You wouldn't go on a website and not see a main image. It would just look terrible. And so it's kind of like your main advertising real estate on LinkedIn. So your cover photo, your cover banner, whatever you want to call it, it's your opportunity to showcase your personality and to warm up your audience so they know who you are. The next is your headshot, okay? And I'm a big believer in the power of a professional headshot. If you can get a professional photographer to help you, and I know if anybody needs help, I know amazing photographers around Exeter and Devon, wherever you live in, give me a shout. Because that photo will really work for you. It will just help to establish that know, like, and trust, and it will give you the edge over your competition. So if you invest in one, I promise people will connect with you so much quicker on LinkedIn. You will look so much more credible, as opposed to taking one yourself or a selfie, okay? And I know it can feel difficult. Some of you might be like, I hate photos, but I look like I'm loving that, because it's worth grinning and bearing it when you know that photo is going to last you a few years, and you can use it on LinkedIn, you can use it across any of your social networks. If you ever have to be a speaker for an event or a guest blogger, you can use it again and again and again. So it's such a valuable investment, okay? And when it comes to your photo, it has to be 400 by 400 pixels. And don't worry if it's not that. When you're loading up, LinkedIn will tell you. And I believe your entire face should be visible and centered. So you're kind of looking out. It's all about that eye contact. So don't be like to the right or to the left. You get some people doing black and white photos. It's nice, but I think people want you to see you in color on LinkedIn. I think that's what's going to give you the edge. If anyone wants to get independent feedback on their photos, there is a site called photofeeler.com, and I'll send these links to Root after. And if you load your photo in there, you will get ranked in terms of likability, credibility, and influence by individuals, humans, but also by artificial intelligence. It's not for the faint-hearted, you know, because you're kind of scored at 33%, 66 or 99. That was the last time I went in there. But what I learned from sharing different photos is the head-on one scores the highest in terms of credibility and influence. If you're slightly to the right or left, you could be scoring 40%. So do try that out if you want to. And ask yourself these questions when it comes to your existing headshot. Is it a selfie? Is it well lit and professional looking? Is it up to date? Does it look like you? Have you changed your hair? Have you got glasses now? Have you got a beard now? Do you look approachable? Because you want to look friendly, okay? You don't have to be super serious on LinkedIn. I never understand these people, you know, they're quite friendly individuals, and for some reason they choose the most narkiest kind of picture of them on LinkedIn. Don't do that, okay? Ask, do the colors you've chosen reflect your brand, or are they a color that you really like and resonate with? Are you dressed suitably for the profession that you're representing? And ultimately, would you want to do business with the person in the photo, okay? It will really give you the edge if you invest in a professional one. I can't say that enough. Okay. And then the next thing I'm showing you today is your headshot. So it's the area beneath your name. You've got 220 characters in here to play with. It was 120 a year ago or so. So you've got extra space. And this is all about keywords. And there is a kind of a formula, like an ABC formula at play. It's basically, who are you? What is your job title? Who do you help? And how do you help them? What is the transformation that you bring? How do you what do you offer? Okay. And I'm going to break it down for you because I know a lot of people get stuck here. Oops, sorry about this. So the headline's probably the most common mistake on LinkedIn. It's just, people think it's just a title, and maybe you just put up student MSc or whatever, and that's it. But you need to be found in search, really, and you need to really sell yourself. So ask yourself, who are you? Who do you help? How do you help? And I've given an example on the screen of Dion, for example. She's got on the left just interpreter, and then on the right she's got a keyword specific headline, way more information: London-based interpreter, specialist translator and copywriter in French, Spanish, and Italian for the hospitality industry, economics enthusiast. You can put something at the end about your personality. It could even be Netflix enthusiast, whatever is, whatever you're passionate about, but the main thing is it's keywords. So for Dion, somebody could type in London interpreter, or London translator, London copywriter, Spanish, Italian, and she's going to come up. But if she just puts interpreter, she's not going to come up. So it's about realizing the importance of keywords in your headline. And when you're writing it, here's a few things to consider: your location. So if you only want to work with people in a particular area like Exeter or Devon, stick it in. Industry and sector. If you're only helping people in a specific industry or sector, spell it out. You can have any specialism that you want to highlight in there. You can mention your years of experience. I know some of you are probably recent alumni, but if you're alumni from a few years ago, any experience is a great thing to showcase. If you've ever won any award, you can put that in. Keywords, that's the main thing, okay? And if you're ever stuck on your keywords, there are a lot of keyword planner sites out there that can help you. One good one is Moz.com, and you can put in your title or a title and it will literally spout out so many other options of keywords. So I will send these links again to Ruth after this. Anything I've mentioned today, don't worry, I'll send the links. And you can put in personality in your headline. Like I said, you can inject something at the end, a kind of a conversation starter. It's like leaving a little cue for a conversation, okay? And the main thing is be specific and use clear language. Don't get like too creative or obtuse, because I had one client and he had inspiring leaders, inspiring minds. And I was like, what the hell do you do? We need to put the title in. This is all very nice, but this goes at the end. Like, what do you do? Are you a speaker? Are you a teacher? Are you a trainer? What are you? So don't get too creative, just boring, clear, straight to the point. Like I said, KISS. Ask yourself, does this headline align with my personal brand, and does it effectively deliver my value? Okay, because it's when you're making comments as well on content, people will see your headshot and the start of your headline. So you want to have that impact and be clear who you are. I promise I'm nearly at the end here. So just to wrap up, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And it's the role of content that's going to set you apart. And the ultimate content is your profile, which works for you 24/7, Yeah, I'm such a fan of building out your profile, and the checklist attached to this presentation will really help you, okay? And some of you might be wondering, what's too personal or too professional on LinkedIn? You might be thinking, oh, what is it safe to say, okay? Can your content be too one-sided, okay? So if your content's too personal on LinkedIn, we don't know what you do. So you really need to showcase your credibility, your experience, and your expertise. If it's too professional, we never know the real you. So we never truly connect with you. So don't be afraid to put a bit of you in your profile and in your content, okay? Because people want to resonate with you, but also they want to learn from your expertise. So you need the mix of both. So don't go one way or the other. And remember, business is personal. Don't forget to add in, like I said, your personality in your profile and content. And don't be afraid to tell your story. We're all unique, okay? Any lessons that you've learned along the way, any failures you've had, any triumphs you've had, that's the kind of content that people resonate with on LinkedIn, because it's human. And if you're stuck on content pillars, you can think of like 3 to 5 things that you're passionate about, okay? So for me, I've got like 5 main content pillars, and one's LinkedIn marketing, obviously. I'm a big fan of personal branding and putting yourself out there and tooting your horn. I'm a very passionate mental health advocate. I'm all about squashing imposter syndrome. I know so many people have it on LinkedIn, and of course, networking. I'm all about the power of networking. So I think if you know what your pillars are and who you are and what you stand for, it becomes so much easier, okay? So my summary, 5 top tips, is be intentional when you're on LinkedIn. Have a good think about why are you on there. Like, like I said, is it to connect with peers? Is it to build a community? Is it to increase business brand awareness or personal brand awareness? Is it to find a job? Is it to find a client? So be intentional and ask yourself what you're trying to achieve on LinkedIn. Second is be you. There is only one of you in the world. It doesn't matter if there's 500 alumni in the same course. There's only one of you. So what are what is your USP and what are your points of differentiation? Okay, because there's only one of you. Don't compare yourself to anyone else on LinkedIn or their journey, because we're all different. If I was to compare myself to other LinkedIn trainers, I'd be cracking up, because I'm a bit of a maverick and most of them are all about the home feed, whereas I'm about strong profile and messenger, because for me, messenger is where the magic happens. It's where the conversations happen, and it's how you push people off LinkedIn to really get LinkedIn working for you. First impressions count. People will judge you, whether they're on the app or the desktop. They will judge you at the top of your profile. Your about section is super important, and I can definitely help people if they need that help one-to-one, but they will not get to that section if you've not impressed them at the top. Okay, so optimize your profile to attract your target audience. 2 P's. It's all about building that profile and figuring out what feels good for you in terms of participation. And be a giver, like we said at the start. Be social, be consistent, and cultivate a community. Okay, and that's how you get LinkedIn working for you. So that's it, really. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I'm up for some Q&A. If you've got any questions, don't be shy, stick them in the chat box. And if you feel shy now, connect with me after and ask me on LinkedIn. Like I said, I'm happy to connect. I'm happy to send audio messages or video messages for you to check that out. I'm just going to quickly see if I didn't miss anything in the chat box as well. I don't think so.
Jennifer?
Yeah,
it's Claire here. Just to say that the next part of the session is that we're going to go to some breakout rooms for discussion.
Okay,
So,
cool.
So when we do that, what will happen is we'll come back to you after that, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
And then with questions, and if people wanted to ask specific questions, following those breakout rooms. But just before so first of all, Jennifer, thank you very much. That was brilliant. It was great. I've heard you present before, and I'm still getting new tips and new ideas and writing stuff down. So that was really, really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And secondly, before we go to our breakout rooms, is there anybody who's got a specific question for Jennifer at this point? And if there is, would you like to just put your microphone on and ask it?
Yeah, I do. Just very briefly. Hi, thank you very much, Jennifer, for that presentation. It was very good. Just quickly, you mentioned that don't pay for premium.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why you specifically wouldn't pay for premium?
I'll be honest with you, premium is not a bad one. Basically, there's about 7 versions of LinkedIn, and the main 3 that people know are the free version, premium, and Sales Navigator. I think you can really get LinkedIn working for you on the free platform, but the odd time you can go to premium. So the advantages of premium over the free are you get greater search potential, whereas you're quite limited on the free, and you can see the people who've looked at your profile for the last 90 days. So I think it's important to ask yourself, are you going to look back at who's looked at you and actually act on it or not? Another advantage of premium is you get 15 in-mail a month. I personally don't think that's an advantage, because I think you can reach out and connect with people for free, or if you belong to the same group as somebody, you can actually message them in there for free. I think emails can come across as quite spammy. I don't always act on them. So they sell it as a premium feature, but I don't think it's that premium. The main advantages, I think, are the search, and you get access to LinkedIn Learning. But again, ask yourself, are you going to do the learning? And then another advantage is, one feature I do like with premium is the out of office. It's quite a new thing. So you can have a permanent out of office saying, contact me here, whatever, here's my email, I'm busy. I like that, because that is a good feature, and it always gets comments. But in general, I think, there's the odd time you might want to upgrade. Maybe if you're in job search mode and you're like, I really want to do maximum search this month and reach out and really make the most of it, or I want to do LinkedIn Learning this month and I'm really going to dig in and have a look, or I'm going to be really focused and look back at the people who've looked at me for the last 90 days and reach out to them. But otherwise, I think just downgrade and save yourself the money. So I kind of bounce up and down now and again, but in general, I think the free version, once you get it working for you, you can achieve everything. And I know a lot of people, they think by upgrading to premium, that is a more premium version of LinkedIn and that they're going to show up more. You're not. It's like, if you've not optimized your profile, it's not going to give you any benefit in premium. So they kind of think, oh, I won't do the work, but I'm on premium, so I'm going to be found, and you're not. So yeah, I have got a blog on it. If you look at my profile, I've got an article kind of balancing free and premium, and it will break it down, probably more articulate than me today. But yeah, I think it's good now and again, but I don't think you need it all the time. You know, it's, if you're going to have it the whole time, you could be spending £600 a year, and I just think, nah, save yourself the money.
Yeah.
Right, thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Jennifer. That was really helpful. Okay, so in order to try and keep to time, if we can go to the breakout rooms now, and then if anybody's got any more questions, we'll come back to you with those in about 15 minutes or so. Anybody have any questions or anything that came out of the rooms, the breakout rooms, that they wanted to ask Jennifer at all, please?
My question is around, do these tips on building a brand on LinkedIn only apply if you'd like to grow a business? So like, what if you don't have anything to sell, like you're happily an employee, but you'd like to get your profile out there anyway?
Yeah, I definitely think you still need to build your personal brand, whether you're an employee or not. And that's when I first started to use LinkedIn. It was as an employee. So I just think, yeah, you just need to be, I mean, if you're working for a company, their kind of social media comms team may have some help in place in relation to LinkedIn. Some companies will have cover banner templates. I've worked with Hiscox Insurance, and they had like 5 different banners that staff could pick from, and their marketing team had a bit of blurb for them to put in their about section if they wanted to, or a little bit of blurb that they could put in their headline. But I think it's important to mix in you as well, so you can kind of showcase your role and what you're doing, and how the company is great, but put in a little bit of a flavor about you as an individual, because you know you are unique. And yeah, you can definitely build your personal brand through thought leadership and posts, whether they are articles or newsletters or videos. You can really build like your brand as an individual to your profile as well. If it, like, that's the first place, just optimize your profile and really showcase your expertise, because I know so many people hold themselves back and they kind of cringe at self-promotion and they don't really sell themselves. And I think my main advice is think like an American. I don't know if we have any Americans on, because LinkedIn, you know, Americans, they're more show and tell, and in school they have show and tell, whereas we don't really have it in England and Ireland, you know. So just think like an American and show and tell, because LinkedIn's an American platform as well. So don't hide your light under a bushel. And if you really struggle, that's what I help people to do, is to revamp their summaries. And usually people start selling themselves in paragraph 5, and I'm like, no, this goes to the top. So yeah, just don't play it small, and yeah, just appreciate everything you've done and your qualifications and what you're doing, and just make your profile pop first.
I wanted to follow up with that on as well. We've had Jennifer before, and she's helped a lot of our current students and students that graduated last year. But I've got examples of people from outside of the university that have been employees in organisations that have really used their LinkedIn profiles really effectively to get work elsewhere. So just to give you an example, my husband's a health service manager, and he was looking to change jobs about four years ago. And we spent a weekend working on his LinkedIn profile, and he did go and get a proper professional photograph done. And he really worked on that headline, and he worked on that sales pitch, that first, set of sentences that explains who you are. So when it says that, what do you do for others? That's where you put, or that was what Jennifer was referring to, what do you do for others? Essentially, if you put in that area there what you do, okay, and maybe how you create value. So it might be that you work in HR, or it might be that you work in marketing, and what do you do, and what do you want to do? Get that all in that first quick profile at the front. And he was getting headhunters contacting him non-stop, and he landed a job because of his polished LinkedIn profile. So even if you're an employee, it does really work for you if you get that section right. The other thing I wanted to give you an example of is one of our students who graduated from the International Management Programme back in about 2016, 2017. She's got the dream job for her directly as a result of LinkedIn. And what she did was she wanted to work in consultancy with EY, and she wasn't working with EY or any of the top 4 consultancies. She was doing something completely different. And she wanted to specialize in sustainability because that was her passion and that was what she was really interested in. And she started stalking people on LinkedIn in positions, in doing jobs that she thought looked really interesting. And there was one guy had just got in as a partner for EY, and he was specializing in developing sustainability indicators around social issues for EY that was going to feed into the World Economic Forum. And he posted on his LinkedIn that he'd read a book and how interested he was in the book. So she went and bought a copy of the book, and she read it, and she messaged him back. And she said, I really like this book, and I read it because you suggested it, and I'd really like to work with you. And is there a chance of a chat? And he hired her. He got in contact with her and he hired her. He was growing the team, and bingo, she now works for EY working on sustainability indicators. So it does work.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip about commenting on posts, because I think if you want to get into any company, have a look at the recruiters and the HR directors, bring up their profile, go to their activity section, look at their posts and comment on it. And likewise, comment on the company pages, because most people don't do that. And then when you're reaching out, they're going to be like, that's the girl or guy that commented. And it just shows, it's that little bit of interest, isn't it? The fact that she connected with him as a human being and just said, I read that book. I really, I looked at your post, and yeah, like that's how you can stand out. It's not rocket science. She didn't do anything amazing out of this world, but she actually was a human being and responded to one of his posts and showed a bit of effort, and I think when you're reaching out to anyone, and if you don't know what to say, look at their profile. There will be stuff in their profile. Look in their content and just say, I can see we both went to the same university, or I really liked your post the other day when you mentioned this, because you'll make people. The tip is make people feel special because a lot of people on LinkedIn won't. It will just be no message or a slightly spammy message. But if you make people feel good, his ego would have been boosted, like, wow, this person, she read my post, she read the book, and she's got in touch. He took my advice, so I can see why he was impressed. So yeah, make people feel special, and commenting before you reach out as well. It doesn't feel as cold then. It's kind of like, they can see I've engaged, and now I'm just going to reach out to them. So yeah, be brave, because it's all there at the touch of your fingertips, and most people don't bother, so most people will lurk or get imposter syndrome. But if you're brave enough to bite the bullet, just fire out these messages, and you never know what can happen.
Just another couple of 2 examples from former students as well, one of whom is now the manager for partnerships and sponsorships at the Natural History Museum in London. And he got his job through LinkedIn because an advert came up on his feed one day, because he was into events and he'd got a background in events. And, he landed that job. He wasn't even looking for it. So, LinkedIn can be really helpful like that. And then we had another student last year who was desperate to get into sustainable energy. So he started tracking people on LinkedIn, and then he got a chat with the CEO of a company that was working on this type of stuff. And he got an internship out of him. So, it's definitely worth doing that.
Definitely. Use search, if there are any topics that interest you, like sustainability, put in #sustainability and follow it, and then you will find amazing content, amazing events, amazing people, and reach out. So I follow so many hashtags for things that interest me, and then it's all popping up in the feed the whole time. So yeah, any topics that are of interest for you, that's her homework. Go off and start looking up hashtags and search and following them. That way you'll stay in the loop as well.
Yeah. The other thing that's useful about it is I tend to find that it shows alumni from Exeter that are currently working in organisations, etc. And if you were interested in working in a particular company, sometimes it's worth just seeing if there's an alumni from Exeter and then connecting with them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just about being brave, isn't it? If you're not in it, you can't win it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, has anybody else got any other questions that they'd like to put to Jennifer? Or any examples of how they've used LinkedIn and it's worked for them?
Hi, I wanted to ask that if we've reached out to an employer via LinkedIn and we've not got any response in regard to a job application, what can be the best way to reach out again? And also, what, according to you, can we do to just make the chances of us getting a job
I think
more positive?
If you've reached out to somebody and you've not heard anything back, I would have a look and see if you've got any mutual connection in common. Because if you do, you could message the other person and ask for an introduction. Another way that you could get through to them, we did touch on premium in one of the questions. You could upgrade to premium, even if it's only for a month, you can get a free upgrade. And then you can send them an email. So that email goes in their inbox, whether you are connected or not. So they will get that. Another way is you could have a look and scroll to the bottom of their profile and see what groups they're in. And if you join one of the same groups, you can message people for free within the group. So there's a few ways. So yeah, leaning in. Introductions are always really powerful if you know somebody that's connected. It's like an email introduction. You look at the person and it's like, oh, okay, who is this person? If not, premium probably is the best to just upgrade, and then you can send an email and they will definitely get it. It doesn't mean they're going to connect with you, but they will definitely get the message. And again, we talked about commenting on their posts. You know, don't be shy to start stalking them and comment on all their posts and go, that's amazing, that's amazing. And then, you know, I wouldn't take it personally as well, because some people are not on LinkedIn every day. So it could be a case of they've been away or they've not logged on. But I think if it's kind of stalled, yeah, do that tactic of leaving comments on their post, because then they'll be like, oh, that's the person pending in my inbox.
Thanks, Jennifer. That's a really good tip. Brilliant. Has anybody else got any other questions or observations or examples of where they've used it and how it's worked? Or great. Okay, I don't think we have. Jennifer, I just wanted to say thank you very, very much. That was really helpful. It's always a pleasure, you know, listening to you, because you're very enthusiastic about it, and you give us different things to think about each time, which is really, really helpful. And Jennifer's been very kind to say that this is recorded, and if you would like to connect with Jennifer afterwards, please do so. Please go ahead and connect with Jennifer, because I know she's incredibly generous with her time and her expertise. So please, somebody's just said it was very insightful and they've learned a lot. So thank you very much. Jennifer, thank you for your time today. It's been great.
I was going to say, just before I leave, like if any of you are on here and you are looking for new jobs, if you bring up my profile in the featured section, if you keep scrolling, I have about 10 items, but I've got 2 blogs in there, part 1 and part 2 of how to get a job with LinkedIn. So have a look through, because they will be really useful. And then if any of you just want to stay in the loop, I have a newsletter and you'll see it in that featured section. And every month I just share the updates and changes, because it's always changing all the time. So yeah, feel free to follow my newsletter, but do scroll through, because there's 2 good blogs about how to find a job.
Superb. Thanks, Jennifer. That's really helpful.